What is up, everybody, and good evening. Let me put my LA hat on, to cover up that bald spot. So, good evening, everybody, and I wanted to talk about this article written by The Atlantic's Yair Rosenberg. Your bubble is not the culture. From Hamilton to Harry Potter, critics keep misreading popular culture and writing off things that their audience love. Why? I mean, if you've noticed from like the last, like, let's say, ever since Gamergate started, or ever since the whole Ghostbusters controversy, it seems like the critics have turned against the audience, and that's a really big no-no. The critics, the actors, the writers, the creative team, they've all turned against their fans ever since. Yeah, I say Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters answered the call in what was that, 2015 or 2016? Yeah, it was around there when the big culture, when you see like there was a big chasm between the elite media and then the rest of the people. It started around Ghostbusters answered the call, but as he wrote, he doesn't have anything against cultural ideological bubbles. His family is a bubble. I mean, my family's a bubble too. Like, I grew up in a black Pentecostal culture, but the thing is, like, I come from a family that voted for Democrats. But the thing is, like, if you think about like black Democrats, the average wokeness of a black Democrat is around Dave Chappelle's level. Like, similar to me, like Dave Chappelle is probably like one of my biggest influences in comedy. He's like way up there next to Chris Rock. It's here between him and Chris Rock, but yeah, it's pretty much the average of wokeness for black Democrats. And then you have like this whole thing with Netflix and Dave Chappelle and that big controversy because he's not woke enough for these social justice activists. And then you got a protest at the Netflix building, which is pretty close to where I live in Hollywood. So pretty much the majority of these protesters were white people. So pretty much like you got a bunch of white people protesting a black man over him making fun of white men. I mean, to be fair, like, yeah, they're like, I mean, I don't want to be like getting into that language and stuff, but yeah, it's just ironic just to see a group of white people protest a black person for another group of mostly another group of white people. Look at the data and statistics. Isn't this hilarious? How upside down the world is. But yeah, let's continue. They only come toxic when their members start believing toxic teens and then attempt to impose them on others. Sort of like my family got into a cyanide crochet and started bringing it to the synagogue and insisting everybody try it. In the real world, this looks like conspiratorial cultures from QAnon to that stuff. Thankfully, most bubbles are like not like this. And the thing is, like, these folks come from a really small insular bubble where any kind of speech is seen as violence, or to them it's felt as violence, yet when they commit violence, that's speech. They're deliberately twisting the words. As you can tell with Vito gets the suit, I can't pronounce that name. Vito, the guy has his own little controversies, but yeah, they broke that guy's sign. And all he had to sign was to say Dave Chappelle was funny. And you see that, like, yeah, they're trying to use this woman as their shield. Like, oh, is this? I mean, it's the same thing as the Candace Owens thing. But as you see, you got this guy and this black woman. They're having a shouting match over a black comedian making a few off-color jokes. I'm telling you, like 20 years ago, this was normal. I mean, like I grew up in the MTV age, like where being anti-PC was seen as cool. 20 years later, being anti-PC is seen as being a Trump supporter, a far right, a right winger, a transphobe, a TERF. I mean, just look at how they're trying to cancel J.K. Rowling right now. And lately, something like this has been happening in cultural discourse, as he wrote. Then he talked about, he had this college student, he was a movie editor at Harvard Princeton, joking about the prestigious amateur film critic. In reality, he was no kid, no influence expertise, writing him in the dorm room. And yeah, like back in the days, like he wouldn't have influence, but in 2022, he does have influence because he can go on Twitter, tweet something, some journalists will see that, or like some clickbait journalists might see that, and oh, bam, I can amplify it. Yeah, it be amplified by the media, as you see here. His take on Spider-Man No Way Home. One student's obsession with admission to elite university imperils the entire universe. Some fancy violence. This is a smart take, a smart ass take. Recently, though, he's noticed something weird about the conversation. Here's the ripple sound of cultural critics writing some pretty popular properties today. Sunny, wholesome, nominated for 16 Emmys, Parks and Recreation, is now widely considered an overrated, in tunnel vision portrait of the failures of Obama-era liberalism. Iconic and beloved, Harry Potter is a neoliberal fantasy of a transphobe. Perhaps the most radical is the rapid fall of Hamilton. It's creating a star Lin-Manuel Miranda. The real sign of the Chibotles of millennial pop culture has lost their cultural capital is that right now. They mostly just feel kind of cringe. Yeah, they do. And let me see who wrote this from Vox. I want to see who wrote this from Vox. Let's see who wrote this. Constance Grady. Let's take a look at Constance Grady. Why Obama era? Oh, so now they're trying to offload it as a Obama era. Yeah, but Obama era entertainment was a bit more escapist than Trump era entertainment was. It really was, because Trump era entertainment was just way too politically on the nose. But as you see here, she looks like your typical college-educated white woman. And as you see, she doesn't look, be honest with you, she doesn't look classically beautiful. So pretty much like she's writing on the internet to just vent out her anger on society. If you really look deep down to it, that's pretty much all this wokeness is. It's just a bunch of angry college people not getting the jobs they want for how long they got their degrees. And they got to pay a lot of college debt. So basically, the only way to vent out is like to vent out articles on the internet. They're what they say, the laptop class. Like I'm part of that same class, but I'm not getting paid as much as they are, nor have the institutional privilege she has on Vox. Like me, I'm just an independent creator. I don't have any institutional backing within me. And in the 2020s on YouTube, you need that institutional backing. But yeah, let's go back to this article. Let's go back to the original article. Your bubble is not the culture. And then you got this ad. Then you got for the insider. There is no good way to introduce Harry. Let me see who wrote this. Pam's. As you see, it's another woman. Let's see if she looks like a cat lady. Oh, look at that. Oh, she's a freelance writer. So basically, she's another. Let me take a look. Let me take a look if she has a similar look. No. She looks a bit more, attractive. Let me see. This might not be the right Pam Segal. Yeah, as you see, yeah, it's not the Pam Segal. Let's find the writer. Let's see. Let me see if my hunch is right. Oh, man, I can't find it. Let me see. Let me see if I can find her from Insider. I guess she doesn't want to show her public face. She can write a lot, but she can talk crap about J.K. Rowling on the internet, but she don't want to show her face. Oh, she's a campaign manager at Bloomberg. So yeah, she gets money from the institutions. And I can't find her, so yeah. But as you see, she's in that little bubble too. And says there's no good way. There's always a good way. I got nieces and nephews that love Harry Potter. My kid loves Harry Potter. Seriously. I got nieces, nephews. They love their Hogwarts. They love Hufflepuff. They love all of that stuff. So this woman doesn't even know what she's talking about. For real. And they got the Ringer. The hard to the popular entertainers delivered the starkest Whiplash and Cultural Garden past decades. He's cringe, but that's Broadway, baby. Yeah, he pretty much is. And let's see the AV Club. Fantastic Beasts has a new title, new release date, same old massively disappointing writer. Script will reveal the secrets of Dumbledore. Let's see who wrote this. Let's see who wrote this. Because you can clearly tell, like, most of these writers have the same general hipster type look. I mean, think about it. Like, these, I mean, I got a feeling this guy is a hipster. Let's see how hipster this guy looks. I got a feeling this William Hughes guy is very, very hipster. And he's been a writer since 2014. And the thing is, like, these folks have outsized influence in the media. So let's see what this dude looks like. Oh, no surprise. Oh, there we go. He does look like the type of dude who writes these type of articles. Yeah, this guy definitely doesn't look like a guy that goes out a lot. I mean, you can definitely tell this guy, it doesn't look like a very social, you know what I'm saying? Like, he doesn't look like a guy that has a lot of, social skill, or look like a guy has, like, a big social circle. He doesn't look like that guy. Like, you can tell the type of people that have big social circles, he doesn't look like it. He looks like your typical guy that spends all day watching movies, watching TV. He got the same look as Quentin Reviews. Same similar look, and they got the same style of writing too, as you can see. So yeah, it's like mostly angry, nerdy, college-educated people trying to drag people down to their level. If you really think about it, because they're products of, if you really heard of it, elite overproduction. Like, I'm a part of that myself. Like, all of this wokeness, all of this is just a bunch of angry people who are overly produced to be elites. That's all it is. And as you see, like, but as you see, the evidence doesn't prove what they're saying. Now, here's what they actually, look. Lin-Manuel Miranda is basically just known for Disney songs, you know? He's basically Disney's soundtrack guy at this point. And then, as a NBC reporter, Benny Charlotte put it, the people saying Lin-Manuel Miranda has had some fall from grace because left Twitter doesn't like him, probably doesn't know that every kid now associates him with blockbuster Disney specials, which is about the biggest cultural catch possible because, yeah, Disney does run a lot of our culture. It's hard to gauge the continued salience of Parks record. It's still very salient. It was very big in 2020, 2021. We did get glue over a year ago when the Catherine Knight from Run Off Coronavirus release special. That episode, the first in the show, concluded in 2015, drew comparable rates to the original series, beat everything else on primetime television that night. I raised $2.8 million relief funds. As for the resident world, the year Rowling made her most pointed statements on transgender issues, Harry Potter sales went up for its British publisher Bloomsbury. In fact, the paperback edition of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone was the 5th best children's book of 2020. And this was like the queen turf of Twitter. But as you see from, let me show you guys the Harry Potter reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, I mean, it's a very large series of 7 films, but we're going to show every review now, like, how it's looking like. Because the creators, basically, the writers would have a different review than the fans. As you see, that got, let's take a closer look at Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. From the critics, it got a 36, which ain't fresh. But let's see how the fans voted for it. Now, as you see, the most popular movies are Ghostbusters Afterlife, which got a 62 review. But if you see Ghostbusters Answer the Call, it got a higher rating for the critics. So it's pretty much showing like these critics aren't relevant like they used to be during the Siskel and Ebert era. You know what I'm saying? Like the television newspaper era, which is dying due to the digital revolution. But take a look here. It has a higher score with the audience than it does with the critics. So pretty much, like I always have this rule: if there's a higher score between the audience score and then with the critic score, basically the critics are full of shit and in their own bubble. That's the way you guys see it. That's the way I see it. So let's go down to another Harry Potter movie that got a bad rating for critics. But as you see, they all got high ratings for critics. So pretty much the lowest rated film was Fantastic Beasts: Crimes of Grindelwald, but that was only a 36 from the critics, which is mainly due to the whole like transgender row she's having on Twitter with all them transgender, with all the activists and all that. But as you see, Rowling herself is doing just fine. The latest entry in her successful Cormac Invited detective series, which she uses on her pseudonym Robert Galbraith. She's brilliant. She's a talent. And as you see, yeah, has moved more copies upon release than any book prior to the series, and made one Best Crime and Thriller Fiction Book of the Year at the British Book Awards. Rowling's October children's book, The Christmas Pig, another international bestseller, sold over 60,000 copies in its first week. J.K. Rowling facing brutal fan reaction to new children's books. Simply put, Rowling sells more books in a day than critics claiming she's been shunned for selling a lifetime. As you see, this Twitter bubble is out of touch with most normie Americans. And he explains, being a critic can lead you to lose sight of the experience of the audience, as you see on Rotten Tomatoes. And he's going to make his point, like he couldn't bring himself to watch Red Notice. I mean, I love this movie, like the movie with Ryan Reynolds, The Rock, and Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot. They pretty much just played themselves, or like Ryan Reynolds was basically Deadpool. The Rock was basically the Jumanji type action hero, walking tall. Basically that type of Dwayne Johnson action hero. Gal Gadot played another version of Wonder Woman. They basically just played the most famous versions of themselves, and it was just a fun movie. I mean, it wasn't like it's not going to win an Oscar. It's not going to be a very critically acclaimed movie and all that, but it was fun. Let me show you the Rotten Tomatoes review for Red Notice. As you see, it got 37 from the critics. And let's see what it got from the normies or the audience. If this thing can load. As you see, it got an entirely different score from the audience than it does from the critics. So this basically highlights like how out of touch a lot of critics are. I mean, just look at if you look at the Chappelle score, it'll have the same one, and the critics will have a lower rating than the audience. So basically, if you see those two discrepancies, I'll go with the audience score more than the Rotten Tomato score of the critics, who tend to have elitist tastes. They just have elitist tastes. Like, this film doesn't pander to their tastes. But something that does pander to their taste is this. Let me find this Australian. There's this Australian comedian on Netflix that appeals to Hannah Gadsby. Let me show you Hannah Gadsby. And she's not very funny. I mean, basically, she's the type of comedian that operates off of clapter. You know what I'm saying? Like, you laugh, you agree with her. Like, she's not looking to people who, like, disagree with her and have as their audience. Like, she pretty much rejects the bigots, the phobes, the ists, or any of that. Pretty much, like, she wants a very narrow, bubbled audience. And as you see from her special, she got a very high review from the critics, but a very low review from the fans. And let's see some of these fan reviews real quick. And then I'll go back to the article. What a POS this was. No comedy whatsoever. As you see, there's one review. Hilarious, enlightened, intelligent, brutal, straight white. As you see, this mentions wokeness. Straight white men, like the big enemy of the woke is the straight white men, the straight white able men. But if you see all these progressive women, most of them are with white men. You know what I'm saying? Like the AOC, the Omars, like they're all white men. Trust the audience score. This isn't funny. Understand. I fully sympathize with the difficulties Hannah Gadsby goes through. It's not fair and she's right. In the net, the audience is well informed of gender differences. The inequalities exist in our society, but also bravely shares it funny unless you make it funny. Let me see. It tells you who says the emperor's wearing clothes and how spineless the pundits are. They are. They're just pandering. The unfunniest comedy special I've ever seen. I fully support the comedy rule that everybody is up to being joked at. But it's just a person talking about what they don't like about the world. I don't see any punchlines, no structure, just trying to find support for their opinion. Yeah, it's claptivism. Claptivism. Basically the same thing these late night hosts do. Like go against like straight white men, Trump supporters, the right, conservatives, Fox News viewers, woo woo woo. Now you see, she got terrible reviews from the audience, and she got way better reviews from critics who are basically just sending a message like because she agrees with because they agree with her worldview. But let's take a look at Chappelle's The Closer, which will get lower ratings from the critics. Where's Chappelle low? Yeah, but it's still one of the more popular sites, David. As you see here, that's why I don't take these critic scores seriously from Rotten Tomatoes. Look at that. You got 40 from the critics, 95 from the audience. Let's take the critics reviews. Let me take a look at this. Let's take a look at this. Let's take a look what this says. The Nation, a very woke left publication. The false inversion distorts the lopsided power dynamics between comics and their critics and denies detractors the license Chappelle demands for comedians. In the same breath, he preaches freedom and dismisses feedback. This is a person that takes himself way too seriously. Let me see what this dude looks like. I want to see what this dude looks like. Oh yeah, same old, oh yeah. You can tell, man. This guy looks like a total... If I see this dude in person, he looks like a total DC black guy. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't look like a guy that's been around the hood. He doesn't look like a guy that's been around... I mean, Chappelle comes from an upper class background, but he's still been around the hood folks. This guy doesn't seem like a guy that's been around, like, the hood folks. He seems like a college educated, one of those shea butter type of... See, we call dudes like this like a boule or shea butters. He's one of those shea butter types of dudes. And then you got Glenn Sumi. What's frustrating about Chappelle's special is there are bits of shrewd, intelligent observations in the act. And then there's Roger Moore. He's rich and famous. He reminds us. Huge Clifford. As you see, there's a lot of resentment in the comments. And pretty much like it's one of the biggest comedy specials of the year, so their reviews ain't even that really relevant. And as you see, like he knows his own preferences are not the norm. But when critics lose sight of why most people consume culture, they start missing what makes most things popular and their search for significance. They forget about the fun. And as you see, you didn't see much fun in the reviews. And as you see, many cultural critics live in an unrepresentative internet bubble. All right, let's take a look. Let's take a look here. If you look at the YouTube bubbles from RecInfluence.net, an analysis of YouTube's political influential recommendations. Let's go to like ContraPoints or the anti-SJWs. The anti-SJWs a bubble. Then you got religious conservatives. So you got libertarians, black, socialists, QAnon, anti-theist, MRA, LGBT, white identitarian, late night talk show, conspiracy. Shouldn't that be with QAnon? Then anti-SJW. Let's go to ContraPoints. She's one of the biggest bread tuber or partisan left YouTube channels or social justice channels. Let's go to ContraPoints. As you see, ContraPoints is LGBT, socialist, social justice, partisan lefts. And that doesn't show where ContraPoints go to. But ContraPoints would be in a different bubble than someone like, let's go with Liberal Hive Mind. Or let me see. Yeah, I'll go with Liberal Hive Mind here. Pretty much that guy exposes the liberal hive mind on YouTube. But yeah, he's just I think of him as a MAGA grifter. That's pretty much all he is to me, man. He's just like Brandon Tatum. And as you see, he's like on the anti-SJW bubble. And then he's on the partisan right, which obviously is. But the thing is, like, a lot of right YouTubers deny they're, like, partisan right. They say, like, oh, we're independents. Oh, no, we're just rational. Nah, that's a game. That's a game they've been playing since 2014. It's the whole Gamergate thing. But as you see, like, he directs straight to Fox News. Notice how Liberal Hyman never has anything bad to say about Fox News? That's why. But yeah, as you see, I'm gonna go back to this site again. This site be tripping. I'm gonna try to see if I can go up. Oh man, my thing is tripping. Yeah, I mean, it was created by Mark Letwish. It was a GitHub project. Hopefully, they'll add me sometime in the future. I'm gonna show you who I base a lot of my channel off the quartering, so I'm gonna just go with the quartering if I can like get back on here. Oh come on, man, this thing is ridiculous. I'll go back there in a minute. Just because I'll go read this. Most critics are on Twitter. Most consumers are not, like most normies are. And then David English makes a great point. Rotten Tomatoes is garbage. Their scores mean nothing. And Hot Latina, as he says. And just because something makes waves on Twitter, like what's happening today with the whole like Senate thing and all that, doesn't mean it actually matters to most people. And as you see, only 23% of U.S. adults use Twitter. And of those users, the most active produce 97% of all tweets. In other words, nearly all tweets come from less than 6% of American adults. And I make a lot of tweets myself. And let's say he says he's guilty of this practice. Like political reporters and lead opinion makers are often misled by viral content. I mean, myself honestly have been too. As discussed that, but I fallen for this ruse myself. Most only when I discussed the viability of Trump's candidacy because his peers on social media did. I didn't. I knew. I saw the energy Trump was building from his rallies and from the debates he had with other GOP candidates. Like, I was a Rand Paul supporter in 2016. So I saw how he destroyed the GOP field. Like, I knew Trump had a chance, especially with Hillary Clinton because of the Rust Belt. I knew it because of NAFTA. NAFTA screwed over like a lot of us folks from Rust Belt. I knew Trump was going to win. But anyways, let's put it this way. Hamilton, Harry Potter, and Parks and Rec are cringe, but they only cringe in a narrow and underrepresented corner of the culture disproportionately inhabited by critics. And they make up a very loud percentage. It's mostly 8%. Just as most people do not watch CNN and have no idea what's in President Biden's proposed Build Better Act, here's a reminder. Just as most people do not watch CNN. I don't want to see. That's like the biggest accusation like someone on the right YouTube would make. Like, oh yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like one of like a salty cracker. Oh yeah, oh like a liberal high mind or like a Steve Turley type guy or Brandon Tatum. Oh yeah, you're misled by CNN. Oh, you get all your talking for CNN. No, I do research. Now you see, you can see these bubbles right here. But I would fit mostly somewhere where the quartering or Tim Pool would. Oh, come on. This thing does not want to work for me. Alright, let's go here. Let's go to quartering. Quartering. That's where I most likely would fit on YouTube. Anti-SJW. And as you see, like, I wouldn't be on the partisan right, nor the partisan left, nor mainstream news, nor social justice. None of that. I would be on the partisan right. No, I wouldn't be on the partisan right. I would be anti-SJW. And he leads, and yeah, pretty much like his recommendations leads to Fox News for the most part. But yeah, the Quartering gave me a platform because of Susie Liu. She banned, Susie Liu, like, she copyright struck one of my videos, and he highlighted the video. She copyright struck me, so I already give him like a big thanks for giving me a part of a platform. But if you look at me on Twitter, like, yeah, you can find me in a few articles like the Ivanka Trump one. You can see me on Yahoo.com for my Reaction Master videos. I was featured on Daily Caller. Yeah, I was featured on various right biased websites. Trendsmap, Instagram. As you see, I was featured on Daily Caller. Sportsnot. I was featured on Russian news, Sputnik News. As you see, this is Russian propaganda. This is literally Russian propaganda. This is from the Russian government. This is a pro-Russian website. So yeah, I mean, Russian influence is real. They exaggerate it, but it's very real. But as you see, like, cultural writers, like, most people want to justify their existence and significance. So do the YouTubers like me. And everybody wants to believe there's 7 in the world, myself included, and including me. I know the earliest, because my second, after film, my second major is journalism. It was journalism, but I'm going to put it back to journalism. He became a reporter to seek similar relevance. The truth is, this profession is not that different. Journalists want to believe that's the big problem. See, that's the thing about journalism now. They want to think they're Woodrow and Bush saying speaking truth to power. Most of the time, they're not. What they write will rarely change the world. There's no shame in that. Informing or entertaining people, gotta say it right, earning an honest living, putting food on the table for yourself and your loved ones, these are all good and praiseworthy things. But they are not the noble narrative that most people tell themselves about their work. That's the thing, because most of these writers come from resentment over being elite overproduction, because they're a product of it. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap this video essay up. So give me a like if you feel this video, and dislike if you don't feel this video, and please subscribe for more of this awesome content where